go ahead and start tonight's meeting. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So regular April 17th, second meeting of the month, commissioner meeting. First item up, we've got the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on April 3rd. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second motion.
Motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to approve the regular meeting minutes from the April 23rd commissioner meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have the approval of claims. Like a motion to approve claims.
I'll second the motion.
We got a motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to approve claims as presented. All in favor? Aye. Next up, we have Superintendent Andy Thomas for a road update.
Been hauling chips for the chip and seal, which we're just about done with that. We mowed Industrial Park once. We did some shoulder work on Kelly Road to divert the water from Crossing Road when we have an inch or two of rain. We're patching the culverts on Elam Road, which is going to be asphalt hopefully soon. I had to repair washouts roads, clean up debris from the wind damage and recent storms. It's been a couple of weeks ago. Dug up a raised spot on the Corpus Grove Hill to smooth out the road because it might go over above the ramp. So we took it out. Working on concrete, pouring concrete on top one crossing. It should be open this week. Got one more pour, so that road will be back open. Or replacing culvert pipes on Red Hog Pike and Lower Grand Creek for future asphalting project this coming year. And I have the engineering quotes for the bridges 67 and 9 with me. Yeah. This is that PB. Absolutely. These civil columns. Beam longest than that. Bridge 67.
Separate.
Yes, okay. All three different. And then this one is bridge number 9, Park Ridge. As you can see, I killed a lot of trees today. There's you outside. This is Smith Ridge. Third quote will be on the second page, and BLN is on the flip page over there. USI will be on the second page. This is your Park Ridge USI, so it's the same. Flip it over here, the quote will be on the second page. Might go first. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I promise I'll have a question.
Okay. That's a lot of paper.
All right, so we've got, if I understood, as you read these out correctly, we've got some quoted, they quoted it together, or they are on the same page?
So, yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you want these together or you want?
FPV and H together.
So FP and H, but they are split, so they're,
Yes, yes.
and can they be unique?
The one that's together, civil con, it looks to me like,
Okay.
they're going together.
67.
No, civil comms is together.
Did you get this one, 67 for BLM? Might not have passed to that one.
I got 2 for BLM. Yeah, I got 3.
Yeah, one of them should be for Parks, one for Smith.
On the BLM, are these 2 numbers, they get added together?
Yes.
down there if you would.
I don't know. Yeah, I've got 2 copies of this one. That's why. Okay. Sorry. That's okay. Yeah, we'll do one at a time.
Can't,
Because
because of civil guns all together.
well, their total is out of whack. Their total is.
So I'll just go over if you want to write it
Yeah,
down.
I'll write them down then.
Quote for the engineering work on Parks Ridge and Smiths Ridge, bridges 9 and 42 from BLN. Combined is 89,000. Did I say 60?
Except 42, 40, bridge 67.
I was looking at some. 67, yeah.
Who was it?
For BLN, it's combined is 89,000. For USI, 115,000. For Civilcon, 75,500. And for FPBH, 90,000.
And those are all the combined numbers?
Combined numbers, yeah.
Okay. Anthony, does that sound right? We got 4, BLN, USI, Silicon, and FBH.
4 contractors over.
4? Okay. Then, just to go through that again, we have BLN at 89,000, USI at 115,000, Silicon at 75,500, and FPB and H at 90,000. And they were provided the same scope. Good. Okay. So with that, I would make a motion to approve bridges 9 and 60, for this 9 and 67,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
To Civilcon in the amount of 75,500.
I'll second the motion to approve the engineering work for bridges 9 and 67 to Civilcon in the amount of 75,500.
Okay, I've got a motion made by myself, seconded by Jamie to award engineering of bridges 9 and 67 to Civilcon in the amount of 75,500. All in favor? Aye. Give me 1 minute, Anthony, and then we'll let you continue. That looks like this, are they gonna need a signature on something? It looks like there's not one on their sheet. Let's use one I have here. Contract, okay. I'll hold that. All right, then I'll let you continue your update.
Okay, and the next update is on the bridge on Fairview Road, bridge number 4. I got an email today from the contractor. The beams are set. They installed the metal deck panels on the April 11th. They're currently working on false work, overhang and bridge deck support. Reinforcing steel will be placed next week. They're thinking it's gonna be open by the end of May. They're moving right along, so they're gonna be ahead of schedule.
Great.
Heard the main man had an accident.
Main man has got a broken heel, yes.
Sounds like fun. Did that happen out there?
Now, at the home.
Oh, did it?
Still heading on, going
It
on.
was cruising along.
Yep. We're still cruising now, was riding scooters, right? We guys have been spraying around roadsides and guardrails, and I had a meeting with the NRCS office last week on Kelly Road and the Booker slide. This is their mobilization, what they're saying. Kelly Road, and that's what they're saying it would cost. They pay all the engineering. The county would be out 25 25% of the cost. It hasn't been approved to the money on it.
So that's the one that they did already approve us, but
They approved us for that one, and they've approved us for Booker also. I think it should be a picture on the back.
yeah, but, and I think what's the total comes, it's like 20,000 for us, 25,000 and like 50
Yeah.
something for that they pay. Plus engineering.
They pay engineering.
You can have both those. No.
They're the same.
Yeah, this is Booker. They cover all the engineering.
All of engineering.
Yes.
Perfect.
But still, there's a lot of paperwork involved yet, so we're waiting on that to come back for bids and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Kind of keep me in the loop. There's actual pictures on the back.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for you and Carlo both. I know you're working on it.
Definitely that.
Working on those. It's
And I think everybody's aware that we've awarded community crossings money for asphalting projects. Shallow Road, Harlow Road, Matthews Road, and Evans Hill, the top portion.
You say these are their estimates?
Yes. That's it. And I asked the guy, I said, what if we get it bidded or quoted and it comes up more than what this is? He said, he thinks there's more money available. I thought
These look awfully cheap.
exactly what we asked him. I said, why this is cheap?
These totals. Totals are. Say we're gonna be responsible for 25% of this total. These total.
Of the 57,000.
Yeah.
okay.
Like 77,000. After I seen their money, I was like, I don't know if I can do that cheap or not.
Yes, 36,340 is 20,007.
Yeah.
So it's going to be $57,066.
Right. I think the scope of it was 77,000.
What I saw. Yeah, so just that keep that, as long as you're already asking that question, so that when we do get that bid, that we know what the process is.
That was one of my first questions when I seen that. I was like, this looks really cheap.
They're only doing 10 feet of the road.
This green line, Anthony, is that the normal high water mark?
Yes. All I have, John.
Okay. Nothing under old business.
You're welcome, Gary.
All right, so next item up on new business is Leanne with highway ice maker request.
Yes, in front of you, you'll see a proposal titled Proactive Hydration and Heat Exhaustion Prevention Process. In the packet I provided, you'll see some first aid for heat illness and really tips for preventing heat-related illness. And if you notice highlighted, hydrated, just kind of jumps out at you. With the heat coming up and our transportation department employees, they're out there in the hot sun. A lot of them, Anthony, jump in anytime, are working in rural areas, so they don't have access to convenience stores, whatever may be. So I thought in order to kind of prevent any kind of heat exhaustion, heat stroke symptoms, let's keep our guys hydrated. Ice makers and coolers cost less overall than bottles of water that end up on the roads or whatever. So I have 3 different prices. I have the other 2 here. They're from a web restaurant store and a bit higher. And in the packet, I have the one that I think would meet our needs, as well as come from Home Depot and have a 3-year warranty, as well as all of the installation parts. Anthony's confirmed. We have water and 110 electric available just to provide an ice maker at the highway department, along with a 1-gallon red hot county issued water cooler. The process, and I'll write it out if the proposal's approved, includes, you also have specs for the ice maker in the proposal packet. Process will include basically each employee is issued a cooler, numbered 1 through 20 or however many employees we have. I estimated for 20 because I think there's what, around 15? So, every morning you come in, fill your cooler up with ice, keep it with you during the day, stay hydrated. We're providing this to you. Take care of it. And stay hydrated, guys. Protect yourself. One workman's comp claim, a ride in our ambulance or something like that costs way more than the ice maker and the coolers. Something I thought we could maybe do for our highway department.
Anthony Howard, right now, is there, they have access to anything like that? Any water or it's just everybody
On different.
on their own? Yeah. And you've got space.
For the record.
Okay. So then you have two items are here quoted. You're saying that the second one is the recommendation or is one and the same?
The second one, I'm sorry, the ice maker from Home Depot, which includes the 3-year warranty, the water filter, the plumbing, and the install kit. And the Igloo coolers are, $1,543
Okay,
altogether.
total.
Yep.
Yep.
The coolers are 17, I estimated 18, because shipping, handling, tax, whatever. And we need 20 units, so 1543.
Okay. Now I know I'd asked you the other day when you brought up the idea, as far as highway miscellaneous budget or what, did you look into what our options are?
I did. The coolers can be covered out of their supplies,
But not
the ice maker.
because of what they have in that budget.
Yes,
Understood. And given that your position is brand new, we don't currently have, for this year, we don't have an HR
correct.
budget. Correct. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Yeah, I think it's gonna be even more than that. Yeah, because you've got no.
I added $200 of miscellaneous, just what if.
Right, but it looks to me like you only put down, 340 for the coolers, should have been 360. Total should be 1563, I think.
Oh, okay.
Think.
I apologize.
Well, then you're gonna have another $70 in the tax roughly from, Home Depot.
We would be tax exempt on that.
We would be 360. I apologize,
Do
Jamie.
we have a,
I mean, we have a tax exempt certificate that we give everything else.
yeah,
Which else is,
when they go
I mean, yeah,
to Home Depot, they can do that. I don't know how
it should be.
that works. Okay, so possibly,
Yeah, we have.
Tax maybe.
I'm gonna have to get from this 852 to 1,002 down. Oh, for your protection plan.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's $150.
Yep.
And I just thought, well, if we're gonna buy it, it's $150. If it breaks, we do want it covered.
I guess the question dealing with take the ice maker off power.
And I apologize, you're correct. That was 1563. I was off by 12.
Use other supplies, I have $700 in there. If we're allowed to do that.
I don't want to know.
Hardly know.
Yeah. But then, Anthony, you were in the agreement, in the recommendation for
Thank you.
having it as a resource that
I think
you guys would appreciate it.
Yep. They've been wanting an ice machine since I've been out there.
Not yet, yeah.
I would make a
How much
motion
is
to
in-
approve.
Go ahead. I was gonna ask how much is in the commissioners. Well, I don't have it in front of me.
I didn't bring it with me.
I looked at it the other day, it was like 100 and something thousand.
No. I looked at it
I can
last,
find out tomorrow.
what's happened since last month, but sounds like he's got,
He may have
he has two supplies budgets that can come
If
from.
not, then, so I'll make a motion to approve, the purchase of the ice maker and the coolers for $1,563.
I'll second the motion.
So if it can't come from the supplies, then it's going to come from the commissioners.
Yeah, I'll ask Carla tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been time.
Thank you so much. I really feel like this is going to mean so much to our team members. Thank you.
All right, so I've got a motion on the floor from Jerry, second by Jamie, to approve the purchase of the coolers and ice maker in the amount of the $1,563. And that would come out of the other supplies highway budget, contingent that that's acceptable, or we'll take it out of the commissioner budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Leanne, for taking care of those guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Did we introduce Leanne?
We did not.
Yeah, last week?
No, that was our first day, so we didn't think her. Our first day.
We so voted last time.
Go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, for those here, or those who are watching, we have Leanne here, Leanne Howe. She is our new director of HR, so she's overseeing all kind of county employees, and will be providing a ton of resources from hiring, training, development, as well as overseeing benefits and things like
Compliance.
initiatives, compliance. And so that is a position we had identified last year, and went through a lengthy interview process, and he's now been on board now 2 weeks or so.
Yes, sir.
2 weeks.
Yes, sir. And I am just so happy and honored to be here in Switzerland County. It is a humbling honor for me to be able to serve those that serve. So I take this, it's just monumental to me, and I'm happy to be part of the team. I look forward to earning my spot.
Perfect. So for those of you who haven't met her, you'll meet her. She'll be making her way around the
Absolutely.
buildings. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out. Okay, so that said, Greg, you'll probably get to know Dan as well.
Yeah.
So Greg, come on up and talk to us about the insurance renewal.
HR and insurance, everyone's.
I know.
I know.
We had to bring like reinforcements.
Yeah.
so-
Yes, I love it. Hello, commissioners. How are you doing?
Good.
Good to see you all. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I have, before we kind of get into the proposal, I brought Pierce back. I don't know if you recall him from last year or in between last year and now, but Pierce Overbecca from Risk Control from Astra Insurance. We have an award to present the county for the efforts of risk control in the last year. Actually, second year running. So I'll let Pierce kind of chat about that.
All right. Well, this is the mount. I'm going to set that over here, so it's away. And there's the sleeve. Actually, I'll put the sleeve over here.
For those watching or listening, you want to, I guess, explain what the award was for?
Yeah, so Astra Insurance on an annual basis, they award risk control. Those counties or public entities in this case that put an effort into risk mitigation, and the committee kind of that we sat with last year, we kind of outlined a plan to execute, and the county has done so. From quarterly meetings to on-site trainings, property walkthroughs with Pierce and our agency, Gardner Insurance. So a lot of work's been done by all. So we wanted to kind of recognize those efforts. Obviously, with insurance, it's all about, preventing that loss from occurring so that we're not paying for it for years to come. The prior section with the ICE and the work comp, I would agree with that work comp claims are much more costly, and obviously we don't want any of our people to be injured as well or not well. So that's kind of what this is in the spirit of. Astra, again, they award that once a year, and this is the second time the county's. So, I think risk control is not an instant gratification thing. It's a long-term plan that you have to execute year over year to see the results. So Pierce, if you wanted to kind of talk about some of those efforts that you had with the county I know that I'll kind of also say that he did a property walkthrough in June and then followed that up with some on-site trainings in October of last year. So I've got a copy. I don't know, commissioners, if you've seen this, but this is kind of the result of that work. It had some recommendations in there as well by department. So have you seen this report? It was sent to Susie, so we kind of worked with Susie in conjunction with executing that.
The list of them there. When I did my walkthroughs, I talked to each and every department head, so they already knew what was, I kind of identified, and everyone was extremely receptive to all the recommendations. No matter large or small, everyone just seemed like they wanted to do as best as possible for the people and for the community, employees, community, citizens, what have you. So it was really nice to work with a group of people that were very receptive. Everyone just jumped onto the training as well. Everyone made time for it. Most of these faces I've seen either in person meeting or in the training. They're here. So I look forward to, working again and still with Switzerland County, and having an HR person is fantastic. That was the one thing that everyone just completely, not that everyone didn't agree, but every single department was like, I think we need an HR person. I think we need an HR person. And that was definitely a large portion, and I think it's on this list of recommendations.
Awesome.
Somewhere in here.
Okay, thank you.
But,
Can we get a PDF?
oh yeah,
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
thank
send-
yeah, I can resend that. It's no problem at all.
Great.
And, yeah, it should be saved away because these are great things to have. And then also, once this is done, there's a response letter as well, and it says, thank you for filling this all out and what the plan was prior. This is also the list of all the training that I provide.
Great.
Or Astra provides. I say Astra and we, but it's me. I come here and do it because Indiana is all of my responsibility here. And then, of course, I work along with Greg.
Yeah, so for those that don't know Astra's name, public entity program, Great American Insurance Company is the insurance company behind the policy. So that's the paper that the policy resides on. Pierce does, he is the risk control here for Indiana, as he said. So a couple things, I know PPE was one of the big things that they focused on out the highway department. There's some hot button topics that are kind of consistent across public entity needs. But we would hope to continue that work this year. Some might be repetitive or need to be done on an annual basis, for our opinion, but at the end of the day, the county really, we want to meet the county's needs and what they're looking for. A couple of those topics like cyber, that is a very, very challenging line of coverage, a lot of liability there. Phishing scams, those types of things that we can kind of help with training on. Sexual misconduct, that's kind of a across the board type of training we like to provide on an annual basis to those employees, and Pierce can provide that. Fleet safety is another big thing. It's a loss leader for all public entities. And the county, there's a few deer in this county, so it does cause some challenges when we're operating vehicles. But so fleet safety, PPE, I mentioned, there was some talk about some handbook work, and I know that that's been ongoing. So Pierce is obviously a resource for all the above. So
Yeah, when we went through the prior handbook, I made some recommendations, and the prior, hopefully, Susie was very receptive to all those. I don't know if those improvements were approved or what the status on the handbook was, but I know they were
Yeah,
being implemented.
Correct. We're still in the process of implementation.
Okay.
So, hope to have that finalized in the next few months, but.
Well, that'd be perfect now that you have a actual identified HR person as
Okay.
well. So
Yep.
fantastic.
So, yeah, you'll be able to read that list there that you have, and Leanne will definitely be your point person to coordinate, because I think some of that she can work with you, and some of that she'll bring her wealth of knowledge to as well.
Absolutely.
thank you, Pierce.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So in addition to that, on a quarterly basis, our agency was doing kind of touch bases with Susie, audits of schedules and equipment, vehicles, et cetera. We found that was really beneficial as we kind of came to the renewal process with Gail. We didn't have from quarter to quarter when we were doing that work. We really didn't find that anything was missing, which is good. There were some good conversations that came about with that. Contract work, that kind of stuff would pop up, but also kind of just how do we do this? What's a good practice here as we work with, in this case, primarily Susie on our end of things. So, so beyond that, congratulations again to the county for that work. Like I said, it's not an instant gratification thing, but it will pay off in the long run. So kind of looking at, I don't know if the commissioners had a chance to really look at the proposal we sent last week in any detail, but I'll kind of jump into that. So the property and casualty, we're offering the same programs and companies as expiring. So this would be the fourth proposal or contract that Astra is offering the county. Just kind of giving some perspective around that. We typically find now the county we started serving in 2020, so a little bit changed literally a month prior to us serving the county. So the whole world kind of changed. It changed the public entity space for sure. We've seen inflation go crazy. We've seen cyber liabilities, really go off the charts, law enforcement liabilities. So you really have two main drivers of what we call the kind of hot button topics, which is the social inflation and the property inflation. So that's really driving a lot of the rates and costs to the public entities. So the county is, with law enforcement in place, and obviously a large blanket of property coverage, you're subject to both of those things. So beyond that, so we've always kind of seen a program anywhere from usually it was 5 to 7 years if things were working on both ends of the equation, as far as kind of before we start peeking in on things. And that's no different here. So we're looking at this is the fourth renewal, like I said, that the Astra program has offered. One thing to keep in mind, so you have really two main things when you're looking at your insurance. You've got your exposure and you have your rates. So Astra, with your efforts in risk control, and Pierce was part of that conversation with underwriting, was at 3.99% rate increase across the board. So that's just the rate of dollar per coverage that you had on property, right? That you had in liability. So it was an average of 3.99% rate increase. You also have to then consider the exposures, which is property values, which is number of employees, which is all the law enforcement officers, vehicles, et cetera. So those are your exposures then that create the actual premium. So we're seeing rate increases around anywhere from 5 to 10% right now across the board. And this is for almost all public entities. The inflation factor is really what's driving the majority of the actual premium cost. So I'm happy that Astra recognized the work that the county's doing in risk control. But at the end of the day, there is property inflation that was taken too. In this case, it was 18.8%, which is actually a combination of things. So I don't know how deep you've got into the packet, but you had your normal inflation factor, which is running between 5 and it was 8% is what they were taking. And that's what they're finding. So when they're adjusting claims and paying claims, that's what they're seeing. I don't know if that's a surprising number to you. It's not to me because we see it every day with all of our property losses and our rates. So we're seeing anywhere from 5 to 7, 8%. They took 8% across your property and then they reran some numbers on your big items like the courthouse, the health department, the highway garage, the hoop barn was actually included in that too. So when they ran those numbers, they found that those numbers were down from what it would cost to replace those items. So they've run new replacement costs on those. So they did increase 3 of those items from what they were on your blanket. So the overall property values went up by almost about $4.5 million from what you had last year. So that's a pretty big increase. Like I said, 18.8%. The property premium itself only went up 19%. I say only. It's a big number. I'm not trying to minimize it, but this is the reality of the world we're in right now, the climate we're in. Do I wish it wasn't that way? Of course I do, because none of us are seeing the benefits of that inflation. But we have to keep it properly protected. So that's a big driver this year in what your premium is. So I don't know what questions that you have. I don't want to move past that without having an opportunity to talk about it. One of the other things I would recommend, and I'm seeing public entities do this on a regular basis, anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and we talked about it at the committee meeting last year, was has there ever been property appraisal or evaluations done on the county's asset evaluation? There are companies that do that work. Of course, there's a cost involved with that. We see primarily about 3 different companies providing that work in state. And that's really, if you want to have a true valuation, that's where you need to go to get it. So I'll give you an example of an entity we serve. They did it 6 years ago and they just recently had it redone. Same company. So when they came back through, their cost was a little less because they already had, they were working from their main document for the first time around. And what they found from that 6 years ago to now, the actual property inflation went up almost by 15% from what they had And that was already inflating with the normal inflation factors. So that's kind of the result of that work when they're going in and running these through the system. So when I look at, and we provided the tools that they use at the company level in your packet there for those buildings, but there's also the courthouse building is in there as well. And so what I really look at the end of the day is what's the price per square foot? You know, where does that number land? Because when we kind of run all the like kind qualities, we want to make sure that price per square foot lines up with what's out there and what's actually costing at loss. So, but the only way that I can recommend that the county really has a full asset evaluation is to hire a company that does that work. I always find it to be beneficial, but it is costly. You know, there's competition out there for that work too, but we'd be happy to kind of send some of the names and things to whomever.
That's to validate the assessed value that you provided, correct?
Right.
The insurance
Right.
quoted at. So the benefit would be as if that goes up, if it goes up or down in the assessed value, and that would adjust, you guys would adjust your rates based on.
That's right. So once that work's complete, if you submit that, we would send it straight into the company for an adjustment up or down based on.
So Greg, if I read this right,
Yes, sir.
the current limit on the courthouse is 9.2 million, is that correct? 213,
Well,
9,713,360.
let me get to that, Jamie, just a moment. That's correct. And then you have your personal property limit as well. That's right. So both the buildings and business personal property are blanketed into one number. That's that 29 million number. So that's really, this doesn't matter if it's a homeowner's policy, if it's public entity, this is affecting all insurance everywhere. I'm seeing just your homeowners carriers taking 7, 8, 9, 12% inflation factors from one year to the next to keep things insured to value. So, you know, it's not a fun conversation to have, but it's one that has to be had.
How much is the expansion they're doing at the school? You know, about your age?
I can tell you what, I think, I recall it's like in the 7 or 8 million.
That's what I thought.
But I don't know, I might be off by a lot.
It makes me think this number is just crazy low, right?
So, and this is, Jerry, if you recall from our committee meetings, you know, this is all, you have the full blanket limit for any one building. If there's a shed that blows down, you have 29 million. We're talking about the catastrophic loss situation. And with the county, the garage has some distance away. Could it happen at one time? I guess, yeah, anything could happen. So you look at the proximity. I mean, I'm thinking of the tech building and I'm thinking of the courthouse ultimately,
Well, yeah.
right?
Courthouse, tech building, and jail.
And the
right?
jail. So those are the three.
Highest buildings.
That's right. So, you know, these are called replacement cost estimators. You have to understand that insurance companies are not asset evaluation companies, right? We have the tools that you have in front of you that we're running like kind quality square footage. Those numbers, a frame home used to be $125 a square foot. Now it's $175 a square for just the same kind and quality. So I think it's very prudent to consider that work to be done because that gives you your baseline moving forward. You know, we've run a lot of these numbers. And this is, it's always going to be one of your biggest lines of cost and premium is to insure your property. And so we've gone through each one. We've again, the companies are now pulling out those larger, higher valued buildings, like not in the case of the county, but like say a water department or courthouse or jail, or they're wanting to make sure those numbers are in line because it is on a blanket for a reason. That's why they are insured that way. But like I said, I think it would be, we would encourage you to consider talking with a company about that work. So.
I think that'll be doing drastic repairs to the courthouse.
Yep.
That needs to be, gonna need a reassessment when the work's done.
Yep. And just talking to Wesley, it sounds like that work's moving to the final stages, which is exciting.
We're turning the corner finally.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
So, you know, I think there's a pretty large reassessment there.
You know, and even if it's where we find the jail, the courthouse, the tech building, highway garage, and we have the work done on those buildings, you know, again, any of that work you do, we'd send straight into the company for consideration.
You don't have to copy, I didn't bring my copy, but you didn't have to look at
I
it.
do not.
Because if I'm looking at this and listening at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're telling me that the policy is about 32,000 higher than last year.
27. Now, with that being said,
Does
so
that include the terrorism?
it does, it does. So, couple ways that I'm seeing entities deal with their increased costs because of primarily inflation. There are actually 4 lines of coverage that are driving 80% of the premium. Okay, so property we've kind of talked about. Law enforcement liability was not, which is not, you're not having experience there, but the fact that you have law enforcement, it's a high exposure. And we did increase our officers by quite a bit. So there's a much larger exposure there. Employment practices liability, that has also taken a big increase. We did have some claim activity there that they're accounting for. And then the autos, which I mentioned, I don't make light of it for anything else, and I understand the challenges in this county with that. But that is the loss leader for the county. And so, basically they did take some rate there. So that's really, those 4 lines is accounting for 80% of the premium increase. I will also say this as a credit to Astra and the program itself. Over the 4 years they've offered on the county, it's been an average of an 8% increase year over year, which is, no matter what the climate, COVID or not, inflation or not, is a very stable pricing. Again, I understand the increase. I deliver this conversation on a daily basis. This is not the first time I've had to have this conversation, unfortunately. But like I said, it's the worst conversation is a double in premium, which I've seen that as well for large commercial accounts and public entities. I've seen where the law enforcement is pulled out on its own and you're taking a $250,000 deductible, and that's the only way you can cover your loss. So that's just the climate that's out there. Law has actually, we had a public entity market called Intact that was in the marketplace for about 12 years. The program was the properties with Chubb. We served a couple risks with that. That property went out of the marketplace last year because of law enforcement. They no longer wanted any part of the law enforcement. Again, I'm not picking on law enforcement. It's just simply one of the challenges for anybody that has that exposure. So one of the things that I kind of provided were some optional deductibles. So some of the county's public entities are taking some additional risk in deductibles. So, for example, on your general liability, law enforcement, and EPLI, which are 3 lines in liability, that you could see some savings. Your current,
Where are you going? You have that in front of us, that list of things you're options? Where are you at?
yes, would have been, well,
You got 2 supplemental sheets here, but I didn't see.
yeah. So, these are it's throughout the whole proposal, but, I guess.
That's the email that I forwarded to them.
So,
I didn't copy it because you were pregnant.
if we go to 10,000, you're at 5,000 on those 3 liability lines. There's a savings of just under $11,000. So you taking some risk in that liability. You're currently taking 5,000 in deductible. If you increase that to 10, you would see an $11,000.
That's just on the general.
General law and the employment practices. So that's just on the general liability. That would be on the law, and that would be on the employment practices.
You're telling me we go from a $5,000 deductible to a $10,000 deductible. And it saves us less than the increase in the deductible.
Well, collectively, you're taking 15,000 incrementally on, if you happen to have
Right.
claims in all 3 categories, you're taking on 15,000 more of the deductible, if you will, cost for 11,000, is what I'm hearing.
That's right. You're correct. So the question becomes is where the loss is happening. What do we, if we could predict the future, I could tell you exactly what to do, but I can't. So,
And what were our claims in these 3 categories
So-
last year?
So I can actually go back for the 3 years, which would give you a little bit better sample size. You had 8 general liability claims, We've not had any law enforcement liability claims, and we've had one EPLI claim in the 3 years that we've insured the county. So, again, you're taking an additional 5,000. So what they're telling you is, with the $11,000 savings, you have to incur 2 claims and take it all the way up to the deductible to that 10,000 mark before you're not quote unquote saving.
And that savings is gonna be distributed out. Is it specific to each one of those categories or?
But yes, it would be by line. So that's why they quoted it the way they have. And that's why you see the specific amounts for that.
Then we
So
do
you
law,
can one,
can we
two-
do law enforcement like 1,000 and 5 and 5 on the other two?
So, well, you can leave the GL at 5, you can leave the EPLI at 5 and just take the law.
I'm talking about the 11,000 in savings.
Oh.
You apply 5 and 5 to these two,
Oh,
and one to
no.
law enforcement.
No, so you'll see like in the premium, they're really rating it by line of coverage and.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're probably seeing a bigger amount on law enforcement than lesser on.
That's right.
Since there's claims in those two, so
They're
you gotta
telling you,
look at it that way as well.
the pricing of anything and the savings with the deductible is telling you where they see risk.
Sure.
It's just,
Whether it's been a claim or that's where they're seeing them.
Even though you go 10,000, savings is probably, 10,000, the savings on of the 11,000 is less than these two categories. Those are more claims in those categories. Just right, yes.
Yep.
so this is one of the ways that I'm seeing, entities deal with these increased premiums that are out of a lot of this is out of your control. Inflation's out of your control. The overall climate around law enforcement's out of your control. But these are all based upon the claims that are being paid.
Did the amount of inflation eat up the things that we did to improve safety?
No, and this is a thing. This is a thing that's important to know. Had you not done that work, had Pierce not talked to underwriting directly and given his endorsement on the work at county, this could be very, very different in a bad way. So, like I said, risk control is not the instant gratification, but in this case, Pierce, if you want to kind of speak, to that. So Pierce's reports all go into, yes, Pierce's reports all go into work comp or to underwriting.
Visits and
Mhm.
the work that we did through Medi that we did.
We'll never know how many losses didn't occur because of the work we did as well. That's
I
impossible.
felt like we did some good work. There's still room for improvement, but
Yeah,
I felt like we
absolutely.
did some good work, so I was hoping to see that reflected.
Yeah.
Well, it did, because it was the 3.9 increase, but everywhere else has been drastically higher. Because not as many people are as concerned about the,
So
Safety.
Astra's average rating rate, not the exposure in addition, that's a separate thing. The rate is around 9% on average for a good clean account. To
Mhm.
put that in perspective.
and that's only, Astra is not one of those that would just want to gouge people and get more money every year. It's purely driven off inflation and the other issues that he was speaking about, law enforcement, EPLI. So many of these things are just becoming extremely pervasive. Um, so, um, yeah, I wrote in there, told them everything everyone was doing here, how great everyone was, and we need to do everything we can to keep this as low as possible. And they listened to me, which was very nice. And I'm sorry that's still a little bit higher, but there are people that are experiencing much worse. But that's just everyone, all insurance, everyone everywhere, the price of milk is up higher, everything's higher. Materials are higher. It's just unfortunate.
We talk a lot about property inflation, but the social inflation is as important on the liability side of things. Because the companies know when things go to jury trial, they're going to be decided in a different way than they might have been 5-10 years ago, just to put it kind of lightly. So we're seeing claims that might have not been paid in a certain way, being paid a little bit differently. So the insurance company's there to defend you. And if you look at your loss runs, there's a lot of zero pays, which is a good thing for the county because they're defending the county where your defenses are. And that's the difference between, to me, the legal defense is really the biggest. It's what you're buying more than anything.
Jerry, do you have any questions? This right now is set, our period is what is our current coverage?
Only, I think I saw
Just really 3 days from now is when the existing policy is.
I think we reached out because we were still getting the proposal, if there's going to be a special meeting, we were happy to have one at any point.
Yep.
So, and here's the thing, Pierce won't want to hear this, but there are programs, other programs that would like to look at the county. We serve all of them. Here's the thing that you're not going to find with a lot of programs that you find with Astra, which is risk control, like they provide. Leanne reaches out and says, hey, we're working on the handbook. Here's a website. That's how some programs function. And so you don't have that risk control expert to come in and say, okay, and I can tell you right now, the amount of claims that we've seen, because we had this contract in place with a vendor, with employees, whatever the case might be, that have completely changed the course of a claim that could have been. And when you're talking about a county, a liability claim, that $10,000 claim, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If something really gets into a true claim, it's six figures claims. I mean, that's not an uncommon thing to see. And so you go from being at this 36, 37% loss ratio to 250% loss ratio. It happens quickly with public entities because the exposures are so much greater, the risk is so much greater. And that's why I say that the risk control is a long-term play. It's not a short-term gratification thing. It will pay off in the long run. PPE work, you can't forget what was taught to you, right? If something happens, it's just the nature of risk control and awareness around things. So, and we're not even talking about the work comp, but a lot of this risk control also affects your workers' compensation, and those costs can fluctuate dramatically as well. So.
No, I don't have anything. Appreciate you coming in and going through it. I think it's been very important.
Yeah, very much. And then, I don't know, I don't think we did this last year, but something that we might get on the calendar is maybe start doing a quarterly, probably too much, but mid-year review. And
Okay.
See where.
That was one of the next questions I had, is how we might want to get with Leanne sooner than that, just
Yep.
bring her up to speed on everything.
I agree.
The quarterly review we can continue, and I would advise is that we keep doing the schedule audits, because the improvements we've seen there, and I don't want it to be a burden to the county, in any way, shape,
No,
or
I
form,
agree.
but
More with Leanne, and then
With
that
that-
can get funneled to us,
Mhm.
what's going on with the market.
Yep.
Whether it be us and council.
in a more in-depth, in the mid-year, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, grab that back to the chat.
But I think Anthony, you had gone through with them, those vehicles on your department, obviously are the big dollar equipment vehicles, but that's been validated and correct. Okay.
Everybody did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew
Every
that was like everybody got scheduled and went through it. I just know yours just got all the expensive vehicles.
Well, I want to say we appreciate the time, the county. We know it's a burden of some sorts because you've got a million things going on, but it's really been a whole different story when we audit these schedules now. There's really nothing to audit anymore, which is great. So,
Okay.
the other renewal that you have upcoming is your cyber liability. I don't think I need to ramble too terribly long about how volatile that marketplace is. One of the nice things we have seen is pricing somewhat stabilized, and not completely. What we are seeing companies do, and that's going to be, yes, you have it in front of you there. I think you've all gotten there. Thanks. That same $2 million limit, one of the things that the carrier is advising, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to you here as well. So on the first party coverage, you're going to see some of the controls that were not in place that they need to see in place. So they pulled back on your first party coverage and sublimited that, which you're going to find in the, it would be on page number 2 of 5, which is 3 in the packet, I think. It may just be on page 2 for you. Right in that top third where you see the first party coverage. So that's something that they would revisit. I think Marty completed that application. The application changes by day almost right now in cyber world because they're finding exposures and how the bad criminals get in, cyber criminals. I know the county's made a lot of effort and done a lot of work there to upgrade email systems and operations and IT. But this is about data storage is one of the areas that they pointed out there.
So you're saying they pulled all of this that falls under first party law?
200.
Oh, it wasn't.
It wasn't 2. So again, if that work is changed and it's really that offsite storage of data or backup of data, we can send that into the carrier for revision as well. So I don't know where that stands, but like I said, and again, that question wouldn't have applied years prior to this. So again, the application is, every time we get a new application, it's a page longer than the previous. So with the same company, it is the same carrier that we've insured the cyber liability with in the past. All other coverages are the same.
Yes, I know we had to make some pretty substantial investments and changes last year just to get covered.
And we're seeing, and that's very few public entities can really self-insure this risk in today's world, and it's ever changing. This is where I think risk control really maybe even between Pierce and IT could even be a good starting point to what can we do to lessen our risk. Not only that, but just then employee training as well. Is how do we recognize potential, dangers there as well, because they're constantly changing. Our office experienced an attack a couple months ago. They tried anyway, and we were just fortunate enough a red flag went off, and we called all the parties and were able to stop it. But they're trying to get banking accounts and all those kinds of things. So it's an ongoing challenge. Public entities, health organizations, and higher educations are the three largest targets in that world right now. And HR is probably a lot of work to do there as far as how we can help.
So then what, the change to that premium year over year?
That premium went from, grab that, I have it in here somewhere. It's in that email and just hang on. I got all my papers everywhere. It went from 16,154 to 18,614 for the renewal, including the taxes and fees that are involved in that world.
Yeah, IT unfortunately is one of those things where it's going to be continuously human error that is the majority of the losses because of it. So 80 to 90%, even the greatest system you can have. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in a good system because that's a huge part of it. But then just someone allowing something in a corrupted drive, clicking on the improper email. So having training year after year, although seems tedious, it is extremely important just to keep that as presence of mind, not to do these sort of clicks and things and what to look out for. And also even further at home, because people realize that you work somewhere and you have access to this sort of information, money, so they'll attack you at home to get you at work. So unfortunately, frequent training is definitely something I recommend.
So bigger picture, if this coverage has only been around for approximately 10 to 12 years because the risk really didn't exist. This same level of exposure 5-6 years ago would have probably cost the county $7,000-8,000 to put it in perspective of how much it has changed in that short period of time. Of course, those aren't exact numbers, but I saw those premiums 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I see them today. And that's what the line's done. The insurance industry essentially missed the risk and right out of the gate. And so now they've experienced 600% losses in most cases across the industry in the cyber world. So, don't feel sorry for the industry. That's just what's happening, and these are the adjustments that they're making. So it's nice to see that the premiums aren't doing those big jumps year over year, but they are starting to require more controls and things to prevent them.
Pierce, I know you worked a lot with CZ on a couple of different programs and some of the training. Did we ever do, or have you done a risk assessment of the county, of each of the different areas that you guys are covering that are trying to be more proactive, or is that something we need to try to get done?
I've gone through each and every department.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not something that I say that some places choose to do it as minimal as possible, maybe once every 4 years. I would like to do it more frequently just in case you get ahead of stuff, because you never know. Everyone here has a job to do. So, sometimes you lose a little bit of focus on some of the things that could eventually get you in the end. So that's kind of my thing. I walk through different perspectives, look at it, and it's all driven off of losses and, injuries and, what the normal what we typically see. So although it may seem crazy to say this kind of thing could happen, it's because I've seen it. So that's what it's all.
Okay, yeah, I knew we had talked about getting that done, whether or not
Yeah.
it did get done, and then.
Did
what-
get done, and that's
what
what,
cadence are working with Leanne on what that cadence needs to be to.
Yeah.
You know.
and
I had actually just mentioned, let's connect and get on a schedule. I would like that to be ongoing.
Sure.
So we
Absolutely.
can be proactive. I want to stay ahead.
so these were all the larger things. Now, the more picky I get, the more, I'm never gonna walk into a place and not find something. But these were the largest ones. So to continue just picking away on things year after year, I feel is just gonna increase making things more and more safe.
Okay.
But I'll never make a recommendation that's outside of law or tighter than what, Indiana State recommends. There are best practices, however, but I'm not going to force you to change one thing versus another thing just because I like to see it. It's all driven off of OSHA or human resources or some general best practice. But there are some insurance companies that will do those sort of things. Because they're
Well,
looking at more of this, the country versus the state.
it's one of the things I really like about Asher's risk control and Pearson in particular is he doesn't come in and force you to do anything. He makes recommendations that he thinks are in your best interest. He understands that if you choose to execute them or not, ultimately you're gonna see the benefit or not as well. But again, it has to be something that's practical and that you can actually execute. And not all risk control is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's at a depth that can't be accomplished, on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I say it's a build 1/1. Hopefully, for example, when he comes back and meets with Anthony, they can build on the last meeting and so forth, whenever that should happen. So, but there are certain things that I do recommend on an annual basis, maybe at that mid-year point that employee training's done. Again, every year, so.
It's definitely a refresher. Sexual harassment, discrimination is one of those ones that I just recommend every year after year, just because it keeps people thinking. And those can be incredible losses.
Thank you both for coming in. and-
Thank you.
all the questions.
We appreciate the time. The county, I'm gonna go ahead and give you this to. We'll send an electronic copy as well. Your email as soon as on your call.
Leanne, do you have back, Greg, the budget?
Pardon
Did we give you these copies?
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
if I get it, I'll make sure to bring.
Well, what happens if we're not under contract by the county?
You'd be self-insuring at that point.
Doesn't put us in a great situation, does it?
No, I wouldn't think so.
I think one of us can go find, I'll be back. I want to go grab Susie's budget. I just want to see what we had
Okay.
in the budget for the insurance. I'm sure we applied an increase, but I'll look at it. But
Probably not that much of an increase.
Is there any interest in these additional deductibles or?
We'll give him a chance. I personally was not, I didn't think it would keep opening himself, but,
Additional?
yeah, some of those, you've got one or two claims where, which you average more than that, then it'll cost us more money in the future. So, okay, then we'll give him a chance, to get back, so if you just wanna,
You want me to sit down and?
yeah, just hang out for a
Yep,
few minutes.
you bet.
Take one. And then while he's out, I will go ahead and jump down then. Jerry, do you wanna jump down? I wanna go through, let's see, here, but it's E. Something else, jump here. Okay, I'll go next up, we'll cover, the Mindy Peterson's signage for the 101 project.
I don't. I never did get anything that she could be here.
What, just
Give me
to
this.
send the information. Yeah. So this, let's see, it was the signage that located
She said-
outside. Okay, yeah, this is the signage. They just want, because they have their offices over at the tech building. So when we had signed the contract with them, they're renting, I think is that a 3-year rental?
I don't know what this one is under the building to be done.
3 years, I believe. Yeah, so we'd given them approval that they can more or less put a sign out that identifies that they are there.
It just says long-term lease.
And then they're just asking for permission for the location. All costs is covered by them, correct? So.
There's a picture
Yeah.
that I didn't print it in color, but I did a little circle there where they want to put it. It's right out there.
Right out front, yep. So she had reached out to me and I confirmed the costing and I think the same picture. was in
Yes,
there.
I mean, no, I got it.
Yep, so it's a 24 by 36 inch sign mounted on 4x4 posts. They've got a company in Madison that they will purchase it through. It's gonna be near the Purdue Extension sign.
Have you seen this, Wesley? Just wanna confirm that there's no utilities underground where they want to put it.
Yeah, not the,
I need to call for it again.
that's a call before the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Whoever's gonna install it for them.
Yep.
So they're just looking for, approval.
There's approval to
Permission.
put the sign, permission to put it in the grass there. Yep. And so I just said you need to get it on the agenda, after I confirmed that there was no cost to us. So, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the request for the Parsons 101 project sign to be placed in the identified location there at the tech building.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion by myself, a second by Jerry to approve the placement of the Parsons signage 101 project at the tech building. All in favor? Aye. Okay. She had sent this to you as well. You want to just follow up
Yeah,
with her and let
I
her know?
send it to her.
Perfect. If I continue to go down, Jerry, do you have any board reports or any topics that are not on the agenda that you want to cover? My only board report is just an update on the school expansion connector wing, from our meeting. Now been about a month for the school endowment. So Rod just was letting everybody know, hey, we're still on pace. I think we're actually a week maybe ahead of schedule for when that's completed. That's supposed to be done late fall, early winter, like early December-ish of this year. And then as of now, they're still slightly ahead of budget. So they're happy with that. The foundation and like legwork at the beginning of the construction project ended up being much easier than anticipated. So hopefully that will continue and nothing will come up to slow that down. Okay. Gail, do you have anything else or announcements?
The only thing that I have is last month, I had these ordinance and for the community crossing money.
Yes.
And Jamie thought that they did not need to be signed, and I found out they do need to be signed by you guys. It's
Okay.
new, because it's a new fund number. Anytime there's new funding, it's,
Right.
and he
Those
said that we
pass-
wouldn't.
the pass-through accounts are being set up for
Yeah.
the community crossings? Yes.
And he said that we would get the money, but we've already got the money and I've already transferred the money from the highway department and everything. So
Got
they're
it.
ready to,
Okay, so we need to create those.
yes, I've already created them, because I had to have.
Then we need to do a first reading and adoption.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll have
That's
to,
the only thing that I have.
okay, then I'll have to wait
Right.
for, is this multiples?
There's 4 of them there.
There's one for each of the
4
community
of them.
crossing grants?
Yeah, 4.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to wait for Jamie on that one because we need to do or read all in presence. We can do an unanimous. Unanimous, thank you. Not anonymous, unanimous vote. Okay. Yeah, then we'll go, we got Wesley. Wesley, you collected the landscaping quotes, correct? So did you provide, I know we talked about getting them a scope?
Yep.
So I think there's several different, we had, was it three?
Two landscaping and three,
Oh,
three trees.
three tree trimming?
The two landscaping just has, the one has 2 pages.
I'm really confused by it.
They have, do you have the copies with you, Wesley, or no? The farm
Landscape.
forestry has a summer, a fall, and a spring, where the other one just has a,
Yeah, so then this is, but custom is just recommending for the single,
yeah.
I mean, we have, like we do our mowing and stuff with them. So then Wesley, is it, looks like the mulching and removal, trimming, is this big number?
Oh, and so both of them the same, but that's the one that's got 3 pages. They just split them all up. Some are-
So to be,
some are
the farm forestry would be all 3 pages combined, is the same scope of work as custom outdoors. Okay. Then I will add those up real quick. So it'll, I need a calculator.
Got a code, but you,
So
yeah, so,
no, it's a total by page, and there's 3 pages.
yeah, with, and, or the, really, it's this, and then.
Yeah, it's the 3 numbers combined. Okay, so, so we've got 2 quotes, we're on the landscaping. The first quote, we've got Farm Forestry Services LLC. They divided it into 3 different scopes. The first amount is $8,960 plus $4,980 plus $22,280 for a total of $36,220. That is Farm Forest Services LLC. And then the second quote,
Custom outdoors.
Custom Outdoors. And that's in the amount of 8,800. Okay. For the most part, that is the mulching, spring cleanup, leaf and fall cleanup, leaf removal and fall cleanup, which is all captured in a single page versus the 3 seasons that you talked about.
3 times in the fall, they'll return 3 times in the fall.
Understood. Okay.
Make a motion for custom outdoors for the courthouse, $8,800.
I'll second that motion. We got a motion by Jerry, a second by myself to approve custom outdoors in the amount of 8,800 for the mulching, spring cleanup, summer cleanup, leaf removal, and fall cleanup total. All in favor? Okay. This does not have, do you have an original copy or something that he needs a signature? Do you know, Wesley?
I do not have this, you talking about Justin?
Yeah, from Justin, it just says, it's just a quote, there's no like acceptance on there.
I'll give it to you.
We skipped tree trimming, we did the, we did landscaping, and we did the signage. We'll go back to tree trimming. It was 17, sure. Jamie wants to go to tree trimming, or do you want to go back to insurance?
Where did it go?
Get the budget.
Okay. So let's.
Yeah, let's go with 3 trimming.
Okay.
And I couldn't find the folder and scissors.
Okay. Here we go. Wesley, did you scope this out as well?
Total 18 trees, including the sycamore by the church. There's 3 limbs on it hanging over the cars.
chose to just take them three bottom limbs off. Everything else is lower limbs. Anything dead.
On this one, this is the one that's got three quotes?
Yeah.
Okay. And then to be clear, that does not include, the one on the front of the courthouse up there on the street, because that's a state requirement, right?
So,
And has there already been any progress, or we find out what our options are on it?
did you talk to Brandy?
I did not.
Did you, Jamie?
No, I,
Well, Dwayne did, excuse me, Dwayne Cuddy talked about it because of the danger on the corner. And they're kind of undecided too, whose it is.
whether it's the towns or the states,
Or ours, from my understanding. It definitely needs it. Quoted because
That big sycamore.
I think you gotta deal with the state on that, not 100% sure on the highway.
Okay, well, then that's I guess, a separate topic. We'll close this one. So we've got three quotes, for that work. The first quote, Farm Forestry Services, their quote's in the amount of $7,650. The second quote is from Herbert Henderson, in the amount of $5,100. And the last quote is from Raise the Bar Tree Service. That is in the amount of $3,500. And that is all tree trimming, lower branches, dead outing old trees, inside the fence, and cleanup. Does that pretty much sum it up? Or the scope?
Insurance, do we require them to have this?
They have, I think two of them sent the insurance in. Herbie's on, I don't have it. I know he's got it.
As far as having getting copies of it.
Nobody sent anything into it yet. They all do.
But the other two you do have as well. Okay.
Are you just wanting the budgetary status? Or do you want what the casino has?
just a budget for insurance. How much was the liability? How many liabilities?
Okay, let's finish the tree one real quick. And then we'll jump back up. So I'd make a motion to approve the tree trimming and removal, by Raise the Bar Tree Service in the amount of $3,500.
I'll second.
Got a motion by myself, a second by Jamie to approve Raise the Bar in the amount of $3,500. All in favor? Aye.
Not soon, we'll have to take that out of commissioners, because we probably get budgeted. Well, I know we get budgeted.
Correct.
Did you do one for the landscaping?
We did.
Go with that.
Custom outdoor.
Do the custom outdoors, we did.
Motion by Jerry, second by Green.
Correct. Were you here when we did the signage vote? Yeah, you were here when we did that vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that one. All right, so now you can give us the.
Current balance 26, looks like you budgeted 28.7.
It should have been somewhere at least 100.
So my thing that says current liability,
Just while we're talking, was there any wiggle room in the administrative cost, the administrative costs?
No, when we went to the carrier, we had them, we went back to them 3 or 4 times to, are you talking about releasing of submissions and that's sort of
Yeah,
thing?
just kind of lowering the administrative costs overall.
Well, we can certainly discuss that at the agency level. It wasn't something we were prepared to do, at this point in time.
I hate to ask, but with the 18%, I mean, if we could just look at it, just.
Sure. No, I said I would have to discuss that. at the
And I know
agency
we're
level.
down to the wire.
Yeah. Well.
And if it doesn't happen this time, maybe at renewal, it's something we definitely bring to the table.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's something we can consider.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a big part too of why we brought Leanne on board, why we bring on, obviously I worked with Susie last year and those are identifying cost savings so that we can be more proactive on this stuff. And if that means we go out and rebid it, then we go rebid it. But I also I'm never gonna take the excuse, 19% increase. It's great when it's not more than 19, it's still 19% increase, right?
No, I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying you are,
At
but
all.
just, why we're trying, we do our diligence, so we're having to look through this, because one, we got to figure out where the money comes from. And I haven't seen that increase on my homeowners policy yet, so.
Yeah. Sure.
We obviously want to try to mitigate that as best as possible.
No, it's not. It looks like it's broken out probably as property and then liability, but I don't even see property on here.
The other thing I can do is get back with Astra in the morning and see, one more final stab with underwriting to see if there's any more they can do. They've assured me they can. Maybe with Pierce's feedback, it will provide some difference. I don't.
Knowing
expect
that
to be
Pierce and I will be working together, I really want to build that training matrix. Anything we can do,
Okay.
let's definitely work together and do. But, yeah, and I'm always going to ask administrative costs, is there any way for us to save?
And I understand that. And like I said, I'll be happy to have a conversation in the morning with the other owner of the agency.
That would be yes. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Thank you.
It's not something that I can
You
say
can't
tonight.
speak to right
but I
now.
can certainly-
Absolutely.
can certainly,
Absolutely.
get back to you.
And not everybody's prepared to say, oh yeah, they're gonna ask that. It's kind of a random question. Not everyone will.
Fair question. If you don't ask, you won't get an answer.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Greg, I did have one other question as it relates to the cyber.
Yeah.
Security.
Yes.
I don't know.
Obviously, we outsource all of our IT, and you're well aware of that. Marty does
Yes.
all of it.
Mhm.
Should we be doing a review of him? I mean, or
So I don't know that I could,
risk assessment, I should say.
yeah. Let me say this, when it comes to anything IT, I'm probably as much of an IT person as anyone in this room, which I don't think any of us really are unless we're in that world.
I could relate.
And I see the claims examples. I see the applications and underwriting that come back. And when you have an application, it used to be 3 questions long and now it's 4 pages long in a matter of a couple of years. That tells a big story about the risks that are out there and the ever evolving risks on a day-to-day basis. I don't know that I can answer that question, but I do know that it's very, very fluid. And so I know from working with Susie and what she shared the county was doing, updating systems that maybe were, needed to be updated for sure. Is that the right decision? I couldn't answer that, but we can certainly they're telling you by that premium what they're seeing, because that was all within the application, the systems that are being utilized and the things that they, but I haven't seen anybody reduce their cyber liability premium in the last 2 or 3 years, regardless of, and the difference is can I get a contract or not?
But obviously it was something that they saw in order to
Yeah.
reduce the first party loss.
Well, and that was the data backup, yeah.
So is that?
Yes, I would agree with you.
Are you aware of what needs to be done?
Well, that's what I would say. We will circle back and say, Marty, what does it take to enact this? So it's basically, as you read what their concerns are, it's the backups and that they are on site and not offline. And so either cloud-based, or a server essentially. And again, I got to stop there because I will misterm it, I'm sure. But basically they want an offline backup, and that was their concern with that. So that when someone gets into your system, they don't have free access to all of it. And again, I'll kind of stop there because I'm sure I'm probably already misspeaking with that IT terminology. But yeah, I mean, we're happy to get with the carrier, but really it's probably a combination of Pierce as well as the carrier providing some kind of feedback on what they recommend, or what they're looking for there. So.
Well, since I dealt so much with Susie prior and she was very familiar with the stuff I did, I think it might behoove everyone here to kind of do a refreshment just of the services I provide. Just so not only is it obviously we talk about the handbook and that sort of thing and all the different training come in person, we can also provide we can send training to you as well if it's just one or two people that need additional training that kind of weren't available at the time when I came here. I do recommend in-person training. It just seems to work better than having someone sit in front of a computer and click along. Of course, if that's the only way you can get this one person that missed it to do it, that makes sense. But then I also look at contract reviews, agreements with rental agreements, just looking at the list of things I've done prior for the county. Proper insurance limits for the rental agreements for long-term rentals and banquet hall, community center, that sort of stuff. We counseled on mental health policies and best practices for employees who work high-stress jobs. So that's your, your EMC or emergency care people. Healthy animal shelter with volunteer policy. Consulted with on HIPAA and EPLI issues. Proper placement of cameras, outdoor lights for the incident at the clinic that happened. Advised on proper placement of safe haven baby boxes. And also things that were not in email. Before I had a relationship where Susie would just text me or call me and I would just give my best answer. So some of the things I do not have a record of, but just saying that's the sort of service you get.
Just some, we were clarifying on the total here, so there's total annual premium, we've got two lines here,
So the top line's with terrorism and the bottom line's without terrorism.
but it was the terrorism, was that not, well, it's terrorism, not the cyber, this is the cyber.
That's a
And
separate,
is cyber included in this, or are there two
no, it's
different?
two separate policies.
Facility walkthroughs for safety and that.
So that the two policies, and they both have the same dates, you got this one and this one that would need reviewed.
My guess is in the budget somewhere, but it should have been in the general fund, all of it. Like this liability premium was probably with this general liability line. It looks like we increased it, but I can't say that for us. Back.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, without specific direction from them on. I think we talked, we knew there was gonna be an increase, but I know we put 19%. But like 5 or 10, probably. So we're gonna have a gap there that's gonna come either appropriation or out of our budget. Right. You have no questions? No.
What's your thoughts on, increasing the, deductible for one of those three categories? That drops it from total 29,000 down to about 18, if you combine, meaning 27.5 and 15.
Right. There's the general one, I think that would be a bad idea. We'd be open to, there's one, there's police, and there's
Employment
law
practices,
enforcement. And then the last one is what?
employment practices, so wrongful acts.
Like any minimal savings. So I think the general would not be smart. The law enforcement one would be able to do it.
Like, but we don't know what portion of that 11,000 applies to the law enforcement.
We do, it's
Yeah.
4,596.
It was like 6,000, 4,500 and 1,500, if I recall correctly.
The GL was, general liability savings was 4,761. The law enforcement was 4,596. And the employment practices was 1,588. And like the total of that was, let me get to it.
11,000.
10,945. And that's if they all went to 10,000. I'm going to tell you, this is something I'm commonly seeing entities do, is take this risk. I'm not telling you to or not, because again, I don't know what claims you're going to incur. The general liability is where you've seen the most frequency of claim, which is common. You've had 8 and 3 years with with our company now. So
Those deductibles are per occurrence or
per
per
occurrence,
term?
correct, per claim.
We're averaging 2.8 a year on the general.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like a good idea.
That one doesn't sound like a good idea. That one's good. Now, the law enforcement one is, I would consider that.
And if you wanted to take the law a step further, we offered it at 25,000 as well. I don't know that the savings, it goes from 4,596 to 6,322. So
It almost say, the savings is almost as much as the stuff for a single occurrence. Right. Which I think that's
And in the 3 years, we've not had any.
We've not had a
incidents
single.
of law.
correct.
So I was thinking about you talking about the cyber portion, and although Astra doesn't directly have much to do with the cyber because it goes out, to someone else. But I would look at what your agreement is with the people you work with. Yeah, your contractor, see what liability or risk they're taking as well. If it's all on you, and if it's something directly, it's their fault that they didn't do, then I would wonder what that agreement looks like. I'd have a second look, and I can look over those sort of contracts as well, to make sure that you're not the one holding it when it was, the worst thing to do is have, all the responsibility, but none of the authority. In this situation, that person has a lot of the authority and you have all the responsibility of payment. I would, maybe, I'd have to look at the contract.
So if you want to, then reach out to Marty and see if we can get a copy of that contract. Or you can look through Susie's files. I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
Okay, then with that, I would make a motion to approve Astra Insurance quote with the terrorism adder in the amount of $161,591 with the change to increase the deductible on our law enforcement portion from 5,000 to 10,000 and recoup the savings from that in the amount of 4,000.
596.
$4,596.
Correct.
Which, so then that number comes directly off of the total.
Correct. That savings included the terrorism savings.
No, I'm sorry, so if I take included the 161 number,
Mhm.
I should subtract 4,000.
Correct. Correct.
4,596. That's not right. Yeah, minus 45,596 to total 156,995.
Correct.
So you got.
Second that motion.
All right, so I've got a motion by myself to approve Astra with the terrorism adder with a change to the deductible for our law enforcement section, seconded by Jerry in the amount of $156,995. All in favor?
If we can figure out tomorrow, Gail, what we had in the budget, so that we know whether we gotta go to council after the money to,
What you've had,
that.
what you've had.
Specific to the car insurance.
We've got it. I mean, we put it in there. I know we talked.
I know the insurance is in the budget, I just don't know if it's in the right amount.
Yeah.
We may have to go ask for an additional $20,000. Either that or pay it out commission.
And Greg, you and I can connect
Oh,
tomorrow.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah.
if there's any room on the administrative side.
Understood.
Thank you, thank you.
This is on the underinsured motorist installation. we can map the whole year out, Leanne. I think
That
that's,
would be great.
honestly, with the change in personnel, it's kind of tough on our end of things when our point of contact right at renewal time is kind of
Is,
challenging, right?
yes,
So
yes.
some things might get lost in translation as a result, but, we'll bring Pierce and the appropriate people into that meeting as well.
That
So
sounds great. That
there's,
sounds great.
Yeah, I work so much with Suzie, so it'd be great to work with everyone else as well.
Absolutely.
So,
We can go through my credentials. I want you to feel comfortable. We're
Sure.
going
Yeah,
to
go through mine as well,
definitely go
so you know.
through training. Absolutely.
Okay, so then the other half of that though, then we'd also need is, I'll make a motion to approve the additional cybersecurity policy from, is it out of Arlington Row?
Arlington Row, it's through Beasley, Lloyd's of London, is who underwrites it. They call it their Beasley Breach Response
Got it.
Program.
Great, so I'll make the motion to approve, the cyber in the amount of 18,614 to Arlington Row.
I'll second the motion.
We got a motion by myself, second by Jamie to approve Arlington Row for our cybersecurity policy in the amount of $18,614. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Leanne, I'll be in touch.
Yes, we can.
Do you have a signature page for that one?
No, we just think we're binding on that one without signature.
Understood.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. We also covered board reports. Do you have any on your end?
No.
Any additional topics or announcements?
No.
No. Anybody else have anything?
I do. My name's Julie Threadgill. I work for Purdue.
Step up, can you give you a few minutes?
Yes. My name's Julie Threadgill. I work for Purdue Extension. I actually called to be put on the agenda, but I don't know what happened, so.
Did you call me?
Yes.
That was last time. So I think-
Yeah, it's okay. It's
I
okay.
don't remember. Sorry.
Okay. I have copies for you. I was here 2 weeks ago when you were on vacation.
Yep.
And was just asked to come back with a formal proposal. Luckily, I'm not asking for money. I guess for the purpose of everybody else, I could just read this. It's basically just the formal proposal and then some information from John Bond also.
Yeah,
So-
so like, this is the formal version of, I watched, we had a video and
yeah.
stuff, so like I'm up to speed there on
Okay.
basically the ask on the equipment and the space.
Great.
So then, yeah.
So yeah, this is just the formal ask, then I probably don't need to read this. It's pretty much what I said last time. Are there any questions or any other, or did you want me to read it for?
No, you said you had gone through it with John, or John?
Yes.
You guys have gone through it from a space standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all, we can accommodate everything that's going on, and that space is gonna open up a lot when, when the courthouse, when the courtroom opens back up, and that, a lot of the stuff that's in there is just to make room for those other areas, so we think it's worth it.
Okay.
Do we need any upgrades or any utility hookups or?
Electrical looks good, utility wise, I mean, other than electrical and IT, that's all we really need for this. No, I think we're in good shape. I mean, there's some stuff with the Ready grant that we'll do to kind of divide the space up a little bit, but that's just, like convention pipe and drape kind of.
So I guess my question is not gonna come back later and say, well, we need
No,
3-phase 480.
No.
and it'll be
So-
Probably think it's something I needed, but I'm good.
Will there be any plumbing that's needed back there?
no. So that there is a utility sink, but I don't envision that we would need water for any purpose that we're doing.
I didn't know if any fire hazard back there, some of the machines and just curious.
Well, it's under the sprinklers,
Okay.
which is one reason why we didn't want to get real crazy with partitioning it, because
Yeah.
then you have to get into sprinkler heads, so, but it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's,
just a thought. Yes,
there's a sink back there already, it's just, there's just the one utility.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the equipment for our grant, uses just standard outlets. And, we don't really foresee a time where we would have everything running all at the same time, but it's all standard outlet equipment, so not anything that requires special runs,
Okay.
so.
No, thank you for putting this together and John and both everybody's help on the grants and such, because I think it's a huge opportunity, a huge resource that's only gonna get bigger as we start advertising and getting people in there to use it, which obviously is the goal. So thank you both for
Absolutely.
the work.
In case I had to read.
So I think we need,
Have some discussion on it.
what's that?
I think we still need to look it over and have some discussion.
Well, I think then just the ask is then basically of approval of the space, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not asking for any monetary
Right.
input, just the use of the space.
Like I said, I'm up to speed on it, I can call it up, so I'm ready, unless you have questions. Feel like you need additional time.
No, I understand what it is. I know we've been asked by other people for the space, so I don't know if that's coming into play or a bad idea or what. That's all I'm questioning is jumping out or discussing further.
Approximately how many square foot is in that room, that total space? Do you know, John?
I knew once, but I don't know. It's, I mean, obviously it's not even, it's nowhere near as big as the community room. I mean, it's probably about a third.
Right.
But
And what percentage of that space do you think the equipment and this project would require?
it's not gonna take it all, obviously, but a lot of that will depend on what comes out of there. I mean, there are things back there that are just there because nobody knows what to do with them. There's a tube television, there's an organ. And
That's all over the courthouse as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's things in there that, if everything stays, it'll be a tighter fit, but, I think, this might need 2/3 of it, maybe.
I think Jerry's question was, there's also been people asking to utilize that, to potentially add office space. I'm not sure that it would be real well suited for it, even that if we did the construction, obviously the construction would be expensive. I know that wasn't the intended use for that particular space. So with that said, I think we can find space in this courthouse to put those offices. We've got a lot of valuable office space being utilized for document storage today, which would create a little bit of a challenge, but I think there's things we can do.
I thought that's where we were leaning. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Put that out there.
No, I appreciate that.
So, that being said, then, let's make a motion to grant for the space needed for this, project.
I'll second the motion.
All right, so I got a motion from Jerry, second by Jamie, to grant space at the tech center for use of the grant equipment and programs from Purdue. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. John, you say you have time?
Sure.
They're busy, so I'll be brief. Start out with zoning news. Town of Patriot, one more mobile home was removed. It was the one near the ball field, not the worst one, but an occupied one. Two unsafe buildings. Attended the Town of Beebe meeting April 10th, a week ago tonight. Two unsafe buildings were removed. Doug, their attorney, recommended sending property owners a letter to reseed and maintain. One unsafe building owner has done zero, thus a $5,000 fine. It may go to foreclosure and sheriff's sale, may not. Another unsafe building owner was present and was given 60 days to develop a plan for rehab. Let's see, Park Department News, April 10th, Monday. 3 new trees were planted at Markland. It was an Eagle Scout project, so it didn't cost us anything. Paul Hewitt, our superintendent, spoke about replacing a 25-year-old mower, which has been on borrowed time for the last couple of years. The board told him to proceed and buy a gently used one if possible.
$11,900.
Correct. That was a gently used one, yes. And we still have the old one for sale, so if you're interested. We're proceeding with an LED lighting project at Markland Dam. We have 2 member vacancies. We had a very long and contentious meeting with supporters of YPAC baseball versus Little League. We had 14 people speak. We resolved part of their concerns that night and expect to make all parties satisfied this week. And that's it.
Thank you.
John, thanks very much.
Anybody else? Please.
And them 2 guys who talked for an hour and a half,
Yes, sir.
make time for people like that. Just for them to have a meeting. I just wanted to talk about Plum Creek, Popcorn Ridge Road. I just want to ask the superintendent, did he say it can be open
It should be open by the middle of the week.
middle of the week?
Hoping, yes.
What's the condition of the road?
The road is gonna be repaved.
Okay,
It's on the list to be repaved all the way to the top of the hill. So, yeah, it's a priority.
that's all I got to say, but that was the most boring thing. Sit here for an hour and a half. I don't care.
No, we're sorry about that. It's very important that we have proper insurance coverage on the county's property, so.
Well, I understand that, but.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. I say we do make every effort on, we have a lot of meetings. We got 3 other ones this week, but we do keep trying to keep some of that from taking over the meetings. And sometimes obviously they go long, but I appreciate your patience tonight. Stick around and ask your
That was the
questions.
most boring thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
I believe.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wes, did you have anything?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
We might possibly be able to take the scaffolding down next week, hoping
Do what next week?
the scaffolding may come down next week.
Oh, wonderful.
As long as the louver still has next day or so.
Yeah.
We will probably take that down,
My God.
hopefully.
Okay, the next, I think the last thing we've got then, we've got a couple funds on the table before you were going to do it. So we've got 4 community crossing grants, that we had to create a fund or an ordinance and a fund so that the money could be received from the community crossing grant and then used for the project. So the first ordinance that we
How
have,
did we do them before?
I was told by the state these have to be done. I can go look up one that you did last year if you want me to.
No, you can't because we didn't do one.
I was told.
Or the year before that or the year before that, but we can do.
on the community crossing ones, we've done a lot of grant, or the.
But not the community crossing there.
Got it. All right, well, we're gonna go by the state requirement, I guess now.
I agree. I just curious how we got by for 4 years without doing it.
Yeah, it's the first one I've seen. that I've been-
I was told that they had to be done, so.
No, if it's the right thing to do, that's
We've
what we
already
should
got
do.
the money for them.
I changed it since last year, but
It's a new,
No, well,
it's a
well,
new
yeah.
requirement.
we'll go with that.
All right,
No, I don't believe that, but that's okay.
You just argue.
No, I don't believe that they changed it since the last
No,
year.
but
I was still trying to
maybe they didn't get done last year. I don't know. But anyway, let's go.
Smithson County Board of
I
Commissioners,
did get that last year.
ordinance number 04-1-23-14, an ordinance establishing a new fund, fund number 8222, Community Crossings Grant Soapville Road Asphalt Project. It is hereby ordained by the Board of Commissioners as follows. There is a hereby established a fund to be known as the Soapville Road Asphalt Project, the fund. This fund is restricted and cannot be spent on a lobbying activity, otherwise can be spent as the monies in the general fund. I'll entertain a motion.
What's the fund number?
82, 22.
Fund number 8222.
Make a motion to approve fund number 8222,
They're all,
Stoneville Road Fund.
you know, they're all the same except, I mean, the numbers 22 through 26.
Yeah, well, and they have a different project name on it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion by Jamie, a second by Jerry to approve fund number 8222. All in favor?
Aye.
Richland County Board of Commissioners, ordinance number 04-1-23-14. An ordinance establishing a new fund, fund number 8223. Community Crossings Grant, Elam Road Asphalt Project. It is hereby ordained by the Board of Commissioners as follows. There is hereby established a fund to be known as the Elam Road Asphalt Project. The fund is restricted and cannot be spent on lobbying activity, otherwise can be spent as monies in the general fund.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to approve Fund 8223. All in favor? Aye. Switchland County Board of Commissioners, ordinance number 04-1-23-14. An ordinance establishing a new fund, fund number 8224, Community Crossing Grant, Red Hog Pike Asphalt Project. It is hereby ordained by the Board of Commissioners as follows. There is hereby established a fund to be known as the Red Hog Pike Road Asphalt Project, the fund. This fund is restricted and cannot be spent on a lobbying activity, otherwise can be spent as the monies in the general fund.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Jerry, second by Jamie. All in favor?
Aye.
Thought I had 4. 5. Second, another one.
Sorry.
Switchland County Board of Commissioners, ordinance number 04-1-23-14. An ordinance establishing a new fund, fund number 8225, Community Crossing Grant, Boulder Tap Road Asphalt Project. It is hereby ordained by the Board of Commissioners as follows. There is hereby established a fund to be known as the Boulder Tap Road Asphalt Project, the fund. This fund is restricted and cannot be spent on a lobbying activity, otherwise can be spent as the monies in the general fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to approve fund number 8225. All in favor? Aye. Last one. Switchland County Board of Commissioners, ordinance number 04-1-23-14. An ordinance establishing a new fund, fund number 8225. It says 5. Yeah, so it's,
Should be 6.
this will be for, 6. So this is the new fund number 8226, Community Crossing Grant, Plum Creek Road Asphalt Project. It is hereby ordained by the Board of Commissioners as follows. There is hereby established a fund to be known as the Plum Creek Road Asphalt Project, the fund. This fund is restricted and cannot be spent on lobbying activity, otherwise can be spent as the monies in the general fund.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I've got a motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to approve fund number 8226. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's anybody else? Anything else? All right. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion made to adjourn.
I'll second that. Got a motion by Jerry, second by myself to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
So,